We are back with late breaking news on the plans to demolish a home filled with explosives and hazardous chemicals in the Highview neighborhood. Now, earlier this week, the city announced the safest way to do that is to burn the house. The mayor and police chief are giving us an update right now. Let's listen in.
As well as some of the next steps that we'll be undertaking as we move forward. First, let me just briefly recap what got us to this point, what we've been advised to do, how we're planning this operation, and some other important updates for the community about how we're continuing to keep the community informed and safe. First, to summarize, last week, LMPD executed a search warrant at 6211 and 6213 Applegate Lane and found several explosive substances along with other substances that could pose a potential risk to first responders. After convening experts in explosives and other hazardous chemicals, including federal and state partners and many agencies, it was determined that a planned, controlled, and monitored burn of the home and detached garage is the only safe way to dispose of the contents that are located within the home and that detached garage located at 6213 Applegate Lane. The clutter, the state of the structure, and the presence of volatile chemicals, combined with the hot, heavy, and cumbersome personal protective gear that must be worn by our emergency responders, makes it completely unfeasible to safely secure the site. To help give an example of why it is so difficult and why we cannot remove all of the material from inside the home, we're going to share a few pictures with you. First, I'm going to give you a feel for the type of gear, personal protective gear, that our law enforcement and other first responders wear when they go into a dangerous situation like this. These photos were taken in the past several days while our emergencies were responding. If you can go back one first. So the two types of gear that you see. Next, we're going to show a picture of outside the home to start giving you a feel for the clutter that is inside the home. And then next slide, please, to give you a sense of the hoarder conditions that we have been describing. This makes it not possible for our folks to safely remove everything from inside the home. As you can see, this is the home of a hoarder. And this debris makes it not safe for individuals to remove the material, and also makes it so that our robotic units can also not clear the inside of the home. So, how we move forward from here. Every step of the way, we have been working closely with state, federal, and local agencies who have experience in hazardous situations. Louisville Metro Emergency Services is coordinating a multi-agency response to this situation. Some of the groups working on this situation right now include the LMPD Bomb Squad, the Hazardous Incident Response Team, Kentucky National Guard 41st Civil Support Team, the FBI Bomb Team, others from within that agency, and other state and federal agencies as well. I want to take a moment and thank everyone who has been working around the clock every day on this situation. Thank them for their continued partnership, for their commitment to public safety as we continue to conduct this operation as swiftly and as safely as possible. So let me give you an update on that community meeting that we mentioned a couple of days ago. We've been working on the logistics of a meeting to inform neighbors around the area about how we plan to undertake this controlled and monitored burn. And so I'm going to share that information with you, the details of the community meeting. First, I want to make it clear that this meeting is going to be streamed live. The media will be invited to this meeting, but due to space concerns, we want to make possible so that everyone who is a neighbor who lives in this area has the opportunity to attend. So in-person attendance at this community meeting is going to be limited to those who live in the area, to those who work in the area, or to those who care for individuals in the immediate surrounding area of Applegate Lane. And so we're asking those who do attend to please bring an ID or a piece of mail to show the folks that'll be at the door that you live in the area, that you work in the area, or you care for someone who lives in the surrounding neighborhood. The meeting will be held on Monday night, August 7th at 6:30 p.m. at the Highview Baptist Church, which is located at 7711 Fagan Bush Lane. Again, that's Monday, August 7th, 6:30 p.m. at the Highview Baptist Church, located at 7711 Fagan Bush Lane. We want to thank everyone at Highview Baptist Church for making their sanctuary available for this community meeting, and also want to thank Councilman Jeff Hudson for his help in arranging this meeting as well. This is going to be an important meeting for the neighborhood, and we want everyone who wants to attend to have the opportunity to attend. So leading up to that community meeting on Monday evening, we are going to be continuing to work extremely hard so that everyone in the area is aware of the meeting. People are going to be able to watch this meeting on Metro TV's Facebook page, or if you live in, work in, or care for someone in the Highview community, you will have the chance to attend personally. So we're going to start reaching out to people in the area and contacting them directly. Beginning this afternoon, Metro government personnel from LMPD, from Emergency Management Services, from the fire department, myself, and other members of my administration, we are going to start walking door to door in and around 6211 and 6213 Applegate Lane, a canvassing operation to notify residents of this community meeting to ensure that everyone in that neighborhood knows about the meeting and has the opportunity to attend if they so choose. Community members will also be contacted through multiple channels, including calls and text alert, and through other community partnerships to get the word out about Monday evening's meeting. Jody Myman from Emergency Management Services will talk a little bit further about this part of the operation shortly. At the community meeting on Monday night, representatives from each of the agencies involved in the investigation and this operation will be present, not just to provide information, but to also answer questions from the audience. This includes Louisville Metro Emergency Services, LMPD, the Louisville Fire Department, the Fern Creek Fire Department, which thank you all so much for your continued partnership on this operation as well, Louisville Metro Public Health and Wellness, and other representatives from the state and federal partners that have been working on this with us on this. Also, Metro Councilman Jeff Hudson and his colleagues will be there as well. To help the community better understand what is happening and how we're working to safely conduct this operation, we've made a list of frequently asked questions available on our website. So right now you can go to www.louisvilleky.gov and you'll see a banner at the top of the page. Again, that's our Metro government's website at louisvilleky.gov, and you'll see a banner that you can click at the top of the page for some answers to commonly asked questions like, how was this problem discovered? Who is in charge? How is the site being kept safe? And more. Maybe one of the most common asked questions that we've gotten over the past couple of days is, when is this planned, monitored, and controlled burn going to take place? So let me give the clarity that we have right now on that question. Last week, we were investigating this incident and working as rapidly as possible on that. This week, we have begun to plan the logistics of this controlled and monitored operation. Next week, we will be continuing to prepare for the monitor and controlled burn to ensure that we're answering all the community's questions and continuing to share information on how we're going to be doing this as swiftly and, more importantly, as safely as possible. So I want to talk a little bit about this time frame, particularly to some who think that this might be taking too long. I spoke to the chief of LMPD, who's with us here and is going to speak in a moment this morning, And it looks like the earliest that we will be ready to implement this operation is the week of August the 14th. So the earliest that we will implement this planned, controlled, and monitored burn of the home and the detached garage is the week of August the 14th. We don't have a date yet, but it will not happen before that week. As mayor, I am not going to authorize any actions until I am completely satisfied that we are doing this in the safest way possible, for all of our emergency personnel, and in the safest way possible for the Highview neighbors and our entire city. This means the safety of our community and the safety of everyone involved in this operation. I'm relying on the best possible advice from experts in this field, and they all agree the site is stable right now. And since it's under police guard and round-the-clock surveillance, it's safer than it has been in years. So this is going to be a meticulously planned event carried out by professionals, supervised by experts from multiple fields, including hazardous materials, explosives, and public health. And so it will not happen, and I will not authorize it until we are ready to do this safely. On that note, I'd like to add a quick note about rumors and bad information. I know that in situations like this, especially ones that involve criminal investigations, bad information and rumors are often out there. They spread by word of mouth, they may spread online. So please rely on information that we are providing you through official channels, through the Louisville Metro Emergency Services, and that we're providing on our website at louisvilleky.gov, through our community meeting, or through other official information sources that we put out in the days ahead. I've heard some people and at some outlets try to compare this process to past situations involving fires or hazardous material accidents in other states. Let me be clear, this is not an accident. As I've said previously, this will be a meticulously planned event carried out by professionals and supervised by experts from multiple fields, including hazardous materials, explosives, and public health. And this will be a tightly monitored and controlled burn of the home and detached garage. It will not happen until we are ready to do this as safely as possible with as little disruption to the lives of the neighbors and neighborhood as possible. So with that, let me now turn it over to our Chief of Police, who's going to give a brief update on the investigation. Chief?
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it. So, first of all, let me just say I really appreciate the community's patience as we deal with this investigation properly and safely. So with that being said, we did indicate that Mark Hibble was arrested and charged with wanton endangerment in the first. The Commonwealth Attorney's Office has adopted this case, and Mr. Hibble has been charged now with burglary in the first and burglary in the second. And so we appreciate all of our partners in helping us with this investigation as we move this along. But I do want to reiterate that we are truly thankful for the community's understanding as we deal with this delicate situation that Louisville has not had before. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. And now Jody Myman from Emergency Management Services will talk a little bit about how we're getting the word out to the community about the community meeting on Monday evening. Jody?
Thank you, Mayor. So tonight, as the mayor said, we'll be canvassing the neighborhood. We've identified a half-mile diameter area around the location on Applegate. So we're going to use some recruits from various public safety agencies around Metro to come out and help us. So there'll be over 100 people. So one of the big things we want to emphasize is use caution in the area. We'll be using our Lens Alert system to send out notifications to the area surrounding this because we don't want anybody to get hurt while they're doing this. So they're going to be knocking on doors, handing out flyers to alert the community of the meeting that's happening on Monday night that the mayor spoke of just a few minutes ago. One of the other things that they're going to be doing is getting some information from the public, and we really ask for your cooperation during this so that if there is a possibility of an evacuation when we do conduct this burn, that we have all the information needed. So there'll be questions like, if will you even need shelter, or can you go to families' homes, and that'll help us plan for the type of shelter and the size of shelter that we may need. Do you have any pets? Do you have any special needs? So it'll be all information that's kept confidential within our emergency management agency, just to help us plan accordingly as this process moves forward, so that one, we get the information we need and can be accountable for the number of people that are in the area surrounding the house, and also it will help us with the planning process when we, if and when we have to put up shelters. Thank you. Yes, right. Yes, I'm sorry, half-mile radius.
All right, thank you, Jody. Thank you, Chief. And with that, that is our update, and we are happy to take a few questions, if there are any.
Yeah, Mayor Greenberg, in the emergency order, it says if ignited, the buildings would be in imminent danger of failure and collapse and endanger lives. Obviously, that's a risk in burning this building that we could take. Is there a plan to protect people? Or, you said we could evacuate. What's that plan look like, essentially?
No, that's the whole point of this planning process. This is why the burn has not yet happened, and this is why we're going to continue to meticulously plan every aspect of how this planned and monitored and controlled burn is set, what happens while the burn is underway, and what happens afterwards as well. That is everything that we are planning for, to ensure that those in the neighborhood in our entire city are safe, and to ensure that every member, every emergency responder, and everyone who's involved in this situation remains safe.
Mayor, do you or Jody know how many residents could be affected by this?
I think it's roughly under 1,000 houses.
Yes, 900.
Yes, it's around a little over 2,000 residents with a little over 900 homes in the area.
2,000 residents?
Yes.
And do you think an evacuation would last, if it occurs, more than one day?
It could. We're going to plan for a couple days. We hope to get the residents back within their house within the day that we're doing it. We're going to be air monitoring, and that's going to be what it's up to. So we are going to plan for a couple days if we have to do that.
And Chief, the burglary charges stem from what? Materials in there when they stole?
The burglary charges are from where he went into 6211, and remember Applegate Lane, and where he took residence there. Yes, sir.
I know you mentioned that you guys were advised by experts. Are you able to list these experts that advise you guys with this plan?
Sure. Again, I'm sorry. I meant to start repeating the question. The question was about what experts have we been advised by? Some of the, I've mentioned several of the agencies that have been providing expert input to us. We have the civilian response team from the 41st to the Kentucky National Guard. We have many experts from the FBI, including experts involving chemicals, hazardous materials, explosives. We have communicated with folks at various state environmental agencies, federal environmental agencies, the University of Louisville. Internally to Metro government, our public health department is involved, the hazardous response team, the bomb squad, the fire department, Fern Creek Fire Department. That is a sampling of the numerous federal, state, local, and academic agencies and partner organizations that we have been relying on for advice since the beginning of this investigation last week.
Is it better to do this on a weekend or during the week, do you think?
That's the question was about, is it better to do it on a weekend or during the week? We are certainly considering that. We know that JCPS is going back to school next Wednesday. That'll certainly be considered. Weather plays a factor because we need certain weather conditions under which we can do this. So all of that will go into consideration, and that's why, in part, why we don't have a date yet. But we're everything is on the table as we continue to plan this.
What chemicals are inside the home?
A couple more here and there.
What chemicals are inside the home?
So we provided some information regarding that on the affidavit, but due to the ongoing criminal investigation relating this right now, that is the extent of the information we're releasing with respect to the material inside the home.
Are they stored in standard chemical containing equipment? Are these in like milk jugs? Can you give us an idea of how these chemicals were stored?
They're stored in various containers, but again, we're not going to go into detail on that just yet.
So with the hoarding nature of it, are you worried about
things that are buried under other things that you can't see at this point? Or has that all been looked at and taken into account?
We are concerned about everything. And that's why we are doing this. That's why we are taking our time. That's why we're working with as many experts as we need to ensure that when it is done safely for everyone planning and implementing the operation, as well as safely for the neighbor and neighborhood.
As part of the planning process, can you say if you're going to be doing like computer simulations about like how big an explosion could be or how big a plume of chemicals could be? And are you collaborating with the Air Pollution Control District as part of the planning?
So the question was about, are we doing computer simulations of various things regarding explosion radiuses and plumes and where they might travel, and have we consulted with the Air Pollution Control District? The answer is yes to all of the above. All of that is already underway. We are looking at all of those things. All of those factors play into the decisions that we are making. And yes, we have been in consultation with the Air Pollution Control District. One or two more, Robert.
Looking at the FAQ under will the building explode, it doesn't really contain the words no. I guess what would you say to the public who are concerned about an explosion?
I mean, what I would say is there is explosive material inside that home. And that is the reason why we are planning this so meticulously. And that is the reason why, as you heard from Jody, there's in all likelihood going to be a localized and temporary evacuation. But we are working based on the information that we have from inside the home. We can also plan for that. And so, there are explosions within structures that burn on a regular basis. And so there's a lot of information about what will happen. But we are going to proceed with an absolute abundance of caution to do this in the safest way possible. And also, this has happened, a similar situation has happened in the past. It doesn't happen often, but about 12 or 13 years ago, there was a similar situation in California. They undertook a similar controlled and monitored burn of the structure. So, we have a lot of information that we are relying on as we're planning this operation. We will continue to keep you guys updated as we move along. We'll release more information either in written form, come back to do more press conferences if we need to. We certainly invite the media to attend the Monday night community meeting at 6:30 p.m. at Highview Baptist Church, located at 7711 Fagan Bush Lane. And as well, we invite everyone from the Highview neighborhood to please join us as well. Thank you all very much.
Great job,
You just heard city officials and the mayor give an update on that planned burn of a Highview home that has explosives and other hazardous materials inside. And two of the biggest takeaways is that burn could happen as early as August 14th, and a community meeting to discuss those plans with residents is happening next Monday, August 7th at Highview Baptist Church. We'll have all of those details as well as new charges for that homeowner who was arrested, Mark Hibble, tonight on WLKY News at 5 and 6. I'm Alexis Matthews, WLKY News.